Okay, so first things first, we want to make sure that A, our leading coefficient on the quadratic term, is equal to 1. Now, it is possible to do this when that coefficient is not 1, but we'll look at that here in a minute. Number 2, we're going to divide B, that's your second term, the coefficient of the linear term, by 2. We're going to square that number, and that becomes our constant term on the end. And then finally, we're going to factor the perfect square trinomial. So look at number 1 there on your worksheet that I handed to you. They've given us y squared plus 30y plus, they leave a blank. What they're wanting us to do here is complete the square. Figure out, well, what number can I put right there that will make that a perfect square trinomial, okay? So a is 1, okay, y squared has a coefficient of 1 in front of it. So we can proceed with step number 2, where we divide 30 by 2. That gives us 15. We square 15, which is 225. That number becomes our constant term. Y squared plus 30y plus 225 is a perfect square trinomial. And guess what? When we factor it, the factoring is so easy, guys, because you already know the pieces. So we've got y, the sign in front of the 30 tells you what to put right there. 30 was positive, so we put a plus. And then this number is always the number that we squared. So we squared 15, so this factors into y plus 15 squared. It's as easy as that. Now, sometimes, let's look at number 5, sometimes b is not evenly divisible by 2. For example, 11 is not evenly divisible by 2. So what do? Well, we still do it the same way. It's just we're going to end up with a fraction, okay? So we divide b by 2. 11 divided by 2, it doesn't divide evenly, so we've just got to leave it. So then we're going to square that. Well, when you square a fraction, you square the numerator. 11 squared is 121. And you square the denominator. 2 squared is 4. You can type that into your calculator. Your calculator will do it. You just got to make sure that you put parentheses around it. Put parentheses around the 11 over 2 squared, and go ahead and press math enter, because it's not going to give it to you in fraction form. Okay? So 121 over 4 completes the square, and this factors into x minus, because the 11 was negative, 11 over 2. It's always the number that you squared that goes right there in your parentheses. Okay? It really is as easy as that. All right. What if a is not equal to 1? Okay, I told you in those steps before that a had to be equal to 1. Well, the majority of the time, a is not going to be equal to 1. So here's what we do. We're going to factor out that leading coefficient, and then we just do the steps like we've been doing them. Okay, so we've got to take out a GCF. Well, not really a GCF. We are always going to factor out this number. Okay, always. So we take out 7. So that leaves us with n squared. When we factor out 7 from 14, we're left with 2n. Okay, and we've still got our blank here. So now we are going to complete the square. But this time, our b has changed. Our b is now 2. So we divide 2 by 2, we get 1. 1 squared is 1. So 1 completes the square, and this factors into 7 times n plus 1 squared. Plus because the 2 was positive, and we squared 1, so that number goes right there. Okay, not too bad, right? Okay, so what I want you to do on your worksheet